If your partner has said she's not happy and is pulling away, and you've been trying everything to save the relationship, but it seems to be taking forever, and you want to know the keys to turning things around quicker, this video is for you. I'm going to share with you the secret to winning her back faster. Now, this is the second video in the series, and so if you haven't watched the first part, I'll put a link right here. Do that right now. I'm going to quickly hit on some keys from that video. That you need to stop Googling advice and trying to find strategies to get quick fixes. Most of the advice you'll find online is dating advice. And if you're in a long-term committed relationship, the things you need to focus on are completely different. So stop trying quick fixes. They do not work. They'll only give you short-term results. The second thing, if you're in a long-term relationship, I guarantee you there is a lot of emotional baggage, and you must address this. You cannot stay on the surface level. You have to go deeper and truly understand what's going on back there and unpack that emotional baggage and work with it together. And the secret to doing that, and that's what we're going to go deeper into today, is that you've got to start to create emotional safety. Until you create a safe space to be able to have these discussions, no results, no progress are you going to experience. Sounded a bit like Yoda there. Until you build an environment where your wife can open up and share all of her baggage, and you can share yours and work with it together, you're going nowhere. So how do we go deeper here? Well, I want to share with you a framework that Tony Robbins talks about a lot, the 3 different levels of change. These are the 3 areas that you can make changes in that will result in a breakthrough in your life or your relationship. Let me give you the overview and then we'll go deeper. The first level is at the strategy. This is the behaviors and actions. So what are the things you do or say that can be different that can create a breakthrough? To go a little deeper, the second layer is the stories. So what are the stories you tell yourself? What are the things you choose to focus on? They affect what you do and what you say. And so if you can control those stories and those beliefs, you can show up differently. And then finally, when you do show up, what state are you in? What are your emotions like? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What is your physical state? Are you agitated? Are you calm? If you can control that state that you show up to those conversations and those moments, you're much more likely to create breakthrough. So there are kind of 3 levels here. And I want to go deeper, but I also want to show you that there is actually one of these 3 that you can focus on if you want to create emotional safety faster. And that is the big takeaway I want you to take from this video. So a metaphor that I often use to teach this is a tree, because it helps us to see these layers in action. The first layer, which is your strategy, this is like the fruit on the tree. So these are the things you can see. These are the behaviors and the actions. The deeper level behind this, the fruit is always only going to come about as a result of the soil, right? And so your soil, that deeper layer, those are your stories. And then the body of the tree is your state. So these are the 3 layers in this metaphor. Let me show you why focusing on just one is what the secret is to being able to create emotional safety. If you start by focusing on just the fruit, the behaviors, the actions, let's say you start focusing on your wife's behaviors and actions. You say to her like, why don't you treat me like you used to? Why aren't you as affectionate anymore? Why do you keep criticizing? The more you point out the behaviors that she's doing differently, the more she's going to put up her resistance and push away from you. And then you just end up becoming this person who's trying to point out everything that she should be different. If you focus on your own behaviors, you focus on that level, here's the challenge here. Let's say you recognize that, or even if your partner tells you that you need to be a better listener. She says, you're always trying to fix things instead of holding emotional space for me and just being with me. And so you decide, okay, let me change that. And then overnight, you have become almost like this therapist to her. You're always hanging around. And whenever she says something, you're listening deeply, you're asking a whole bunch of questions, and turn the TV off and you just make it about her. Well, actually, that destroys safety because of two things. Firstly, she doesn't feel as genuine. She sees that it's a sudden, drastic change. And think of this metaphor. If let's say you looked at a tree and you saw that the fruit weren't ripe, you know that it takes time. You've got to change the soil. You've got to create an environment for that tree to once again produce healthy fruit. But changing your behaviors drastically, in this analogy, would be like you going to the supermarket, buying a whole bunch of beautiful fresh apples, bringing them over and duct taping them to the tree. Your partner's not buying it. She knows that that's just a temporary solution. Those fruit are gonna rot. And so she's gonna see it as fake. The second reason why this doesn't work is because it is not sustainable. Even if you're able to change your behaviors in the short term, when the stress goes up again, when you hit those moments of tension, when you are put under a lot of pressure, you will revert back to those old behaviors. And so as a result, it actually can destroy the trust. She says, see, look, you've not really changed, and you end up taking all these steps back. So don't focus on this level if you want to win your partner back faster. All right, so you might say, okay, don't focus on the level of strategy, actions, and behaviors. Let me go deeper into the level of story. So this is your beliefs and the stories that you'll share about each other and the relationship. Now, here's why this area is particularly challenging. Changing your stories and your deep-rooted beliefs is extremely hard. It takes a lot of time. Imagine if you try to change your partner's beliefs or stories about the relationship. You end up just becoming someone who's trying to convince someone to disbelieve their own experience. If you were to say, look, you've just got to give us another chance. This time will be different. Well, she has a lot of history to look back on and say, I've heard that before. And if you keep trying to push, you're never going to get her to change her mind, because to change your story, there's got to be an experiential shift, or there's got to be a very conscious, intentional effort. And so do not try to change your partner's stories. Also, if you try to change your own, like I said, there's got to be a conscious shift. It takes time. These are stories, often patterns of behaviors and thoughts that you have built up since you were pretty young. And if you're trying to change those deeper narratives, it takes a lot of intentional work that most of us have not done. We never learnt in school how to change our beliefs, how to work with them. It is possible. I'm not saying it isn't, and it's definitely a big part of the work I do with my clients. However, it takes time. And there is lower hanging fruit here. There is a way to be able to shift things a lot faster. And that is the final area we talked about, and that is the state. If you can instead focus on the state of the tree, what I mean by that is your physical state, your emotional state, your mental state in any given moment. This is the key to building emotional safety. Don't focus on your partner's state. Don't keep pointing out, you're agitated right now, you're worked up. Don't do that. All that does is make your partner feel like she's observed and judged, and she will become even less trusting of you. Instead, focus on your state. What are your emotions like in this moment? How is your physical state? What's your breathing like? Are you able to control these? See, why this is so powerful is that because you know that so often our partners are not just hearing what we say, they are listening to how we say it. How we communicate, how we show up matters more to them because it gives them a glimpse into our deeper stories. Your state is the bridge between your actions and your stories, your strategy and your stories. So if you manage your state well, it can actually shift the story that you're telling at any given moment. Imagine you're in a scenario where your partner has done something and it makes you agitated. Maybe she criticizes you and you find yourself getting defensive. Before trying to just change the words you say and try to be all nice and don't react too much. Instead, you just focus on your state. You came back to your breathing. You were able to manage your physical state and your emotions in a way that you were calm and centered. Immediately, your story changes. It goes from one of defensiveness, I need to protect myself, to one of connection. Maybe there's something in this area that can show me a deeper layer of what her problems are. Maybe in this moment, I can actually use this criticism to listen to her and understand where she's coming from. And you will find that when you manage your state, your stories will shift. When you manage your state, your actions and behaviors will shift. Your strategies will naturally align. And when you can master your state, truly master it, through all the different circumstances and challenges of this season, that is when you will find yourselves coming back to that lush state of connection and being able to actually heal the relationship. So let me recap the keys for this video, part 2. The first, if you are going to make any lasting change and heal the relationship, you have got to create emotional safety. This is the absolute foundation on which you can build the future of your new and healed relationship. The second key to do that, to be able to create emotional safety, you mustn't focus on doing and saying the right things. If you focus too much on strategies, you end up actually coming across as fake, and you can destroy even more of the trust that you have in the relationship. Instead, you have got to become a master of your state. If you can be the lighthouse that she needs you to be in this season, if you can be that steady rock that when the waves crash, not faking it, not pretending like you've got everything together and using willpower that does not work, but to genuinely shift your state and be that calm presence, that creates emotional safety. That is someone I can come to time and time again, and I can trust that no matter what is said, I'm not going to get an extreme reaction. I can actually work with them to heal, and I can unpack that emotional baggage. Now, if you want to know those kind of a tactical step-by-step guide to be able to shift your state, I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So stay tuned, subscribe, hit that notification bell and so on, so that you can get that. Before that next video, let me leave you with a couple of tips to really help out. Please stop overthinking. Stop trying to solve everything and think of what the best or right thing to say is. Instead of focusing on what to do, focus on your state and who you are so that you can just be yourself. And if you're going to say to me, Ro, look, I hear that. I would love to stop thinking, but man, you have no idea all the consequences that are piling up. I don't know how I'm going to save this relationship. Well, let me leave you with this. I have created a step-by-step roadmap that every single one of my clients have gone through to save their marriage and save their relationships. And so I'll leave a link to it right here. Watch that next, and it'll help you to know where you're headed so you can stop overthinking and be present, be yourself. All right, I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned for the next one. Ciao.